The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim and owner Artie Moreno were facing a tough decision at the MLB trade deadline in 2023. At the time, 5.5 games back from the top of the AL West and 3 games back from a wildcard spot, with Mike Trout on the injured list dealing with a fractured hamate bone, and with Anthony Rendon on the injured list yet again, they were faced with a decision. Do you keep the best player on the planet in Shohei Ohtani for his final 2 months on his contract? Or do you trade him at the deadline for a prospect haul likely larger than any we've seen in history to restock your farm system for years to come? Their farm system, by the way, at the start of the season was ranked 28th out of 30. And after all, the Angels have had the 2 best players in baseball on their team for the past 6 years in Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, and yet they have not made the playoffs with both of them on the roster. And they've also yet to finish above 500 in a season with both of them in the lineup. And Mike Trout, now in his 13th year in Major League Baseball, all with the Angels, has only seen the postseason 1 time. And talk about the haul they would have gotten for Ohtani. Shohei so far is having a historic year, quite possibly the best year any baseball player has had in history. As of this moment, he's batting .308 with a .407 on-base percentage, a .668 slugging, which is an OPS of 1.075, which is 87% above the average OPS in the league. As of right now, he has 43 home runs and 89 RBIs, which is on pace for 57 home runs on the year and 117 RBIs. While at the same time on the mound, through 130 2/3 innings on the year, he has a 3.17 ERA, a 1.064 whip, he's allowing just 5.9 hits per 9, and is striking out 11.4 batters per 9 innings and walking 3.7. For reference, there is no batter with a higher slugging or OPS than Ohtani currently, and on the mound, he has the lowest opponent's batting average against, at just a 185 batting average against. He is 6th in walks plus hits per innings pitched, tied with Corbin Burns and only behind Luis Castillo, Zach Gallen, Zach Eflin, and George Kirby. He's tied with Zach Gallen for 8th in ERA, only behind Sonny Gray, Merrill Kelly, Kyle Bradish, Garrett Cole, Justin Steele, and Blake Snell. And he's 4th in strikeouts per 9, only behind Blake Snell, Kevin Gausman, and Spencer Strider. So what kind of return would you realistically get for him? How do you even begin to place a value on what he really is? A combination of something like Corbin Burns and Mookie Betts? We haven't seen anything like him. And if you bring up Babe Ruth, they're just not comparable. The talent in the league currently is better than it's ever been. Some of the bigger names that were moved at the trade deadline this year are 1. Max Scherzer. He was traded from the New York Mets to the Texas Rangers. He is under contract this year and next year. The Mets paid a good amount of his contract in order to get a better prospect, but they were able to land Luis Angel Acuna, who is an infielder and Ronald Acuna's younger brother. He is now rated as the Mets' #1 overall prospect and the 40th overall prospect in baseball per MLB.com. Another big arm moved at the deadline was another Met in Justin Verlander. He was traded to the Astros in exchange for 2 prospects. Again, the Mets will be paying a majority of the remainder of his contract for better prospects, and he's under contract potentially through 2025. The Mets got back prospects outfielder Drew Gilbert and outfielder Ryan Clifford, who are now ranked as the Mets' #2 and #6 overall prospect. Gilbert is ranked as MLB.com's #56 overall prospect, and Ryan Clifford is outside of the top 100. Aaron Savali was also traded from the Guardians to the Rays. He has 2.5 years of club control, and he was traded straight up for first base prospect Kyle Manzardo. Manzardo is currently ranked as the Guardians' #2 overall prospect and MLB.com's #62 overall prospect. Other starting pitchers were traded at the deadline, including Lance Lynn and Jordan Montgomery, but neither of these deals brought back prospects in MLB.com's top 100. There weren't many bats available at the deadline, as the biggest names that were traded were Josh Bell to the Marlins in exchange for a former top 100 prospect in Khalil Watson. Heimer Candelario was traded to the Cubs, Tommy Pham traded to the D-backs, and Mark Canha traded to the Brewers, all in exchange for lower-end prospects, but no bats were moved that were comparable to Shohei. The only trade in recent memory that's comparable to what Shohei would have brought to the Angels is the Juan Soto trade from last year. Now there are a few caveats, as Josh Bell was also traded to the Padres with Soto, and Soto was heading to the Padres with 2.5 years of club control versus Shohei would have just had a half year. But the Nationals got an absolute haul. They got the Padres' #1 overall prospect heading into the season, shortstop CJ Abrams, who was ranked as MLB's #9 overall prospect heading into the season. They got left-handed pitching prospect Mackenzie Gore, who was the Padres' preseason #4 prospect, MLB.com's #86 overall prospect. Outfielder Robert Hassel III, who was the Padres' top prospect at the time of the trade. Outfielder James Wood, who was the Padres' #3 prospect at the time, was MLB's #88 at the time. Along with right-handed pitching prospect Jarlin Susana, along with Major League first baseman Luke Voigt. Juan Soto at the time of the trade had a 159 OPS+, so his bat was about 59% above league average. And again, although not apples to apples, if Ohtani were traded, they would have gotten back multiple top 100 prospects. Well, the Angels decided to forego trading Ohtani, and instead they would double down and become buyers at the deadline. Their first big move was trading for Lucas Giolito and Reynaldo Lopez from the White Sox, in exchange for their #2 and #3 overall prospects in Edgar Quero and Kai Busch. Quero became the White Sox #3 overall prospect and is currently ranked 86th overall on MLB Pipeline, and Kai Busch became the White Sox #9 overall prospect, outside of the top 100 for MLB. The Angels then acquired infielder CJ Cron and outfielder Randall Grichuk from the Colorado Rockies in exchange for the Angels' #8 and #28 overall prospects. The Angels would go on to lose 11 out of their first 15 games out of the deadline, and on August 18th, they would call up their top overall draft pick from 2023 in first baseman Nolan Schanuel. He had played in just 21 minor league games. He was slotted to bat leadoff for the Angels in his debut, and Nolan became the fastest US-born player to debut within 40 days of being drafted since Texas pitcher Jerry Don Gleaton back in 1979. In Schanuel's debut, Ohtani would hit a grand slam. Schanuel would record his first career hit. The Angels would record a game-saving triple play in the top of the 9th inning. And yet they would still lose to the Rays 9-6. Current day, the Angels are 11.5 games back of the AL West and 8.5 games back of a wild card spot. The Angels have a slim chance at the playoffs and have the same odds of signing Ohtani this offseason. The Angels have mismanaged 6 years of Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout on the same team. Mike Trout has 3 MVPs. And according to Codify, Mike Trout and 10 other guys have won 3+ MVP awards. The other 10 guys have played in 512 postseason games. Mike Trout has played in 3. Those other players are Barry Bonds, Jimmy Fox, Joe DiMaggio, Stan Musial, Roy Campanella, Yogi Berra, Mickey Mantle, Mike Schmidt, Alex Rodriguez, and Albert Pujols. The Angels woulda, coulda, shoulda traded Ohtani when they had the chance. And after this year, they'll have one of the most depleted farm systems in baseball with no Ohtani.